Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Lagos State Governor rolls out more palliative measures to cushion impacts of the COVID-19 crisis on residents, says over 400 vehicles arrested for flouting stay-at-home order. Federal government moves to raise 500 billion naira intervention fund to tackle COVID-19 crisis as the Minister of Finance meets with the National Assembly leadership to seek approval for initiative. Implementation of stay-at-home order begins in Ogun State as residents desert roads and business places in compliance with President Buhari's directive. Deaths in Spain fall for the second day in a row as Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez says the country is close to packing the peace of infections.
This is Channels Television's breaking news.
News just in says the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, that's the NCDC, has confirmed 5 more COVID-19 cases in Nigeria, bringing the total number to 214. 3 of the cases are in Bauchi, 2 in the FCT. Earlier today, the NCDC has corrected the total of new cases of COVID-19 reported as at yesterday, that's April the 3rd, to 25 instead of 26. So far, 25 people have been discharged and 2 new deaths have been recorded, each in Lagos and Edo State. A breakdown of the cases in each of the states show that Lagos has 109 cases, FCT Abuja 43, Osun 20, Oyo has 9 cases, Edo 7 cases, Akwa Ibom 5, 4 each in Ogun and Kaduna State, Bauchi 6 cases, while Ekiti and Enugu each have 2 cases, with Ondo, Rivers and Benue State recording 1 case each. But now the NCDC has confirmed 5 more cases and 3 are in Bauchi, while 2 are in the FCT Abuja. To get more on those top stories, just go to our website, channelstv.com, where there are more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. The Kaduna State government is also upscaling measures in the fight against COVID-19. The government says it has concluded plans to set up an isolation center, another one, to take care of confirmed coronavirus cases. According to the Kaduna State Deputy Governor, Hadiza Balarabe, this will complement the one located at the Infectious Diseases Center in the state capital. She said the government has also identified a location that will be used as an isolation center, while the National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has promised that Kaduna State will soon have a COVID-19 testing center. Now from Kaduna, let's move to Ogun State, where the stay-at-home order has finally taken effect after the state government asked for it to be delayed until 11 p.m. yesterday. Our correspondent reports that there is a high level of compliance with the directive as the roads in the state capital Abeokuta have been deserted, with businesses closed, save for those exempted from the lockdown. In a statewide broadcast last night, the state governor, Dapo Abiodun, asked residents to abide by the regulation and restriction of movement in compliance with the president's directive.
Deserted streets, roads, markets, motor parks and shops under lock and key. Security personnel at strategic locations to enforce the federal government's directive on a total lockdown for an initial period of 14 days to enable the Health Ministry effectively manage government's efforts to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the country.
The instructions we've given to our men, and which they have been complying with, is to make sure that we don't allow vehicular movement, except those ones that have presidential exceptions. And those ones are like vehicles that are carrying petroleum products, then vehicles that are also conveying agricultural products, and then those people that are on essential services.
We are going to deploy that sense of civility, that sense of persuasiveness, and that is working for us. That is exactly what we are going to do. We will not have the business of running after the citizens to force them to comply, because they have shown a level of compliance.
So far, residents see the need to comply with the stay-at-home order.
Purpose of saving our souls for what is going on globally, the government decision on stay at home is welcomed. And you can see the situation that everybody is at home now.
The state governor, Dakwa Abiodun, assures residents that while the lockdown lasts, provision is made for 500,000 households.
I wish to appeal to our people that they should avoid stampede and unnecessary struggle in the course of distribution of these items. It will be an ongoing process that will go around the mapped beneficiaries in due course. We should also maintain social distancing at all times to avoid the distribution points being unnecessarily turned into an arena of potential infections.
According to the state government, the palliative measures, which include markets being allowed to open on Tuesdays between 7 a.m. and 2 p.m., is subject to review, but asks residents to fully comply as it believes their cooperation is necessary to achieve the desired results.
It's almost 2 weeks since the first case of COVID-19 was detected in Ogun State, and there are now 3 cases. Our correspondent, Hajara Liu, reports that government has taken steps to contain the spread, but residents don't seem to be taking precautions seriously. The impact of the COVID-19 crisis appears to be taking its toll on other aspects of life apart from the economy. And this is playing out in Kogi State, where the Commissioner for Water Resources, Mr. Abdulmumin Danga, is alleged to have dehumanized and raped a lady, that's Elizabeth Oyeni. Ms. Oyeni claimed her trouble started after she sent a message asking Mr. Danga not to forget his sister in the distribution of relief items over the COVID-19 fallout.
The position now is that the security agencies are on top of the situation. They've received a petition also from an organization on behalf of the alleged victim, and they have requested that the victim should come forward to be able to write her statement. But up till now, she has not showed up. The commissioner that was alleged has gone there, has submitted himself to the police to write his statement, and he was also asked to bring one of his sisters that was involved in the whole thing to come and also put down her statement. And he has already brought the sister. And as far as that side is concerned, they've put down their statement. So they are waiting for the statement of the person who accused the commissioner of those allegations.
The COVID-19 pandemic has thrown the world into a crisis of immense proportion, and in the face of the unprecedented actions, including restriction of movement and locking down of cities. Recently, the Food and Agricultural Organization predicted a potential food crisis, that's if the pandemic continues. This next report looks at what government should do to reduce the impact of the pandemic on food supply in the months ahead.
Nigeria is endowed with over 92 million hectares, of which 82 million are arable land. The agricultural sector's contribution to the nation's gross domestic product stands at 24.4%. But in spite of these great potentials, the sector may be facing some setbacks with the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has led to a lockdown in several parts of the country. 2 weeks ago, the Food and Agriculture Organization projected that a food crisis is imminent following the restriction in movement of persons and goods owing to the pandemic.
We should prepare for the worst, and by preparing for the worst means right now we should even start the logistic of distribution of seed, input, etc. Land preparation right now to make sure the fertilizer are in the states, if possible even in the local government. The agrochemicals, the seed and everything are already in the local government.
Figures from PricewaterhouseCoopers shows that between 1980 and 2016, yam production increased from 5.2 million to 44.1 million tons. Cassava rose from 11.5 million to 57.1 million tons, and rice grew from 1 million to 6 million tons. To boost agriculture in the country, the federal government announced a ban on food importation, and this has led to a significant improvement in the sector.
We are in April, the rainy season has started, and most people are locked down in their homes. So it's going to affect us very adversely. That is internally. Externally, most of the food we consume in Nigeria are also imported. And many of those countries we are importing from are having very severe crisis when it comes to the COVID pandemic. So we can expect prices to increase, and let us just pray that this ends very soon.
The effect of the COVID-19 pandemic is taking a toll on all sectors of the economy. What is important at the moment is for the government to take caution by acting fast to mitigate any impact on food supply chain.
When the news at 10 returns, the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) confirms readiness of rules for derivatives trading, and that will be on Business News. Stay with us.